Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So today is the 8th of March, International Women's Day. But today I have with me Evalion, and we are going to talk about feminism, porn, and the stuff related to that. So please, could you tell me? On your older videos when under Evalion nickname, you said that you are against feminism and that basically most feminists are full of crap. Or do you still stand on that? Or, I know there is some points on which you agree with radical feminists. So please explain your position.
When I was making those videos last year, I was mainly talking about liberal feminists, but the more that I research and look into the feminist ideology and feminist figures throughout history, there is a clear distinction between liberal and radical feminists. And I wouldn't consider myself a feminist since I have some very serious ideological differences between them. But I do agree with some points on radical feminists, such as transgenderism and sexual deviancy. Um, the main thing that I disagree with on feminists is the concept of the patriarchy. All feminists, no matter if they're liberal or radical, believe that we are living under a patriarchy where there is this hierarchy of men that are actively oppressing us women. It doesn't seem to be the case since there are a lot of female millionaires, and what is motivating these men that are in power, it's money, it's not their gender, it's not their hatred of women, it's not their beliefs or their culture, it's purely profit. They view women as consumers, as their wage slaves. They're not thinking on a gender basis.
Yeah, because they don't care if you're a consumer. Doesn't matter if it's male or female. It's still a consumer and wage worker. Yeah, but still, there has been a lot of reaction, and especially the Western. I'm mainly talking about the Western countries, reactionaries to the. I don't know if it's appropriate to call them reactionaries, but there is this other movement called MGTOW. Although MGTOWs staunchly oppose this comparisons to feminism. Although there are many traits in the MGTOWs which are similar to feminists, such as the suspicion and sometimes outright hatred of the opposite sex. Well, if feminists say like the world is being run by patriarchy, well, MGTOWs say, oh no, it's gynocentrism, it's all around women, like the world is so women gynocentric. Basically, both MGTOWs and feminists promote like some sort of hatred or at least distrust towards the opposite gender.
Yes, they are very similar in a lot of ways. Um, the MGTOWs do bring up some good points, like how women are favored in the court system. They get lesser jail sentences for very heinous crimes. They are in custody battles. The mother's more likely to get the kids, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. Since the mother is the one who birthed her children, she should be allowed to raise them in most cases. But I don't agree with MGTOWs at all. I argue with them on Twitter and stuff.
Well, yeah, and yeah, you do the right thing. So yeah, basically, many people there is a stereotype for both like feminists and MGTOWs. The stereotype for feminists is like fat, blue or pink hair like hag, which is very angry and hateful towards all men. And for MGTOWs, there is a stereotype. Oh, he's a loser, like sitting in his mom's basement and can't get laid. That's therefore he spills his frustration on the internet, like letting it out on the internet. So yeah, but still, um, or do you think how true are those stereotypes?
They're very true. They don't represent the whole community of both MGTOWs and feminists, but I have definitely seen blue-haired fat feminists, and I have seen fat, lazy MGTOWs. They both exist. Stereotypes are based on some facts, but that doesn't mean that they represent everybody in the community.
All right. So as we know, that radical feminists oppose porn, and I know like the most probably I don't know the most probably radical and well-known prominent feminists opposing porn, which is internationally known. So I'm going to name just that name. His name is Andrea Dworkin. Well, she was very anti-porn, but I don't know. So and then you as well are also very anti-porn. So what do you think about why was Dworkin so anti-porn, and why are radical feminists in general are very anti-porn?
Well, they're anti-porn because it's blatant exploitation of women's bodies. These porn stars, if you ever read what they have to say about their job, it's very
Yeah.
sad and heartbreaking. It's demoralizing. When they are there on the porn set, they are nothing more than an object to be disrespected, and what they have to go through is intense. When they're in pain, they have to just smile and pretend they enjoy it. They have to do it nearly every day because of their contract. A lot of these porn stars have contracted diseases that made them infertile, or in the worst cases, killed them. And the only reason why these porn stars are doing it is because they're poor. They need money. And they can't even get out of the industry because who's going to hire a porn star? She's just a whore. The word whore is the most degrading, dehumanizing, demoralizing word to be called, to become. It's really sad that these women, they can't become mothers. They can't actually, take part in their dreams. All they can do is just be a piece of meat to get fucked. That's all they are. And that's why you see these porn stars committing suicide, doing drugs, becoming alcoholics. I really feel for these girls. A lot of women, and I was guilty of this myself, they look down at these whores. Oh, they're just whores. They're nothing. They're worthless. They chose that lifestyle for themselves. They should just die. But you do know that you yourself, even as a man, you're just one starving child away from selling your body. And that's the reality of this capitalist hellhole, where people are forced to sell their bodies for money, because money is what makes the world go round.
Yep, and yeah, I know what you're talking about. I read many like interviews, like very like frank interviews with those porn stars where they complain about exactly the things you are telling me about. Yes, and it's very, very, very like hard to disagree with you. Although I have to be like I like to be truthful in my interviews, and yes, I used to watch a lot of porn in my late teen years, in my early 20s. Yes, I used to watch porn a lot, but then I was able to stop watching it, and right now I don't watch it at all, or if I watch it, it's not really, it's very, 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 very rare, and it's not really porn, it's more like erotic videos, but still, I just say that porn is also like, well, there is some people who say that, oh, porn is like, it is a source of like people, it some people say that it actually may stop some rapists or maniacs to if they get like release from porn, jerk off to porn, they will excuse my language, they will like they will less likely to like commit rape or attack a woman in real life if they get released from porn. Can you agree or disagree with that, please?
Well, a MGTOW would say to that assertion is just reducing a man to his sexual desires. It's assuming that these men are these horny beasts, these animalistic creatures who have sex drives that are uncontrollable. And if you look at the past, before porn was so easily accessible, the rape rate
Yeah.
was actually lower. You could look at modern India, for example. Before they had the internet, the rapings were not as common as they are today. India has a really bad gang raping problem, and that only
Yeah.
started, becoming prevalent after porn got introduced to the country. So I think it actually has the opposite effect. What this porn does is, like, when men start watching it, they get addicted to it, and they look for more hardcore porn until, porn is just not suitable anymore. They develop fantasies in their mind that they're going to do those things to the women that they meet, and then they actually go and do it. So it's less about, I'd have to say it's the opposite.
Yeah, and it's hard to disagree with you again. You know, there is a state in the southern India, the Goa state, is a very like internationally known resort, and I heard so many stories from there. Like the local like Indian men, they like to rape like white women tourists from Russia and many European countries. It just the Indian authorities even had to introduce female taxi drivers for those women in order to help those European and other white women tourists to avoid being raped by horny like local men.
That it's real, a radical feminist would say that the porn makes a man develop a subconscious objectification of women. It makes him view women as just objects to get fucked, and that they like that. The porn star is acting like she likes it. So what is the man supposed to think? That that's what they like.
Yeah,
So he develops a fantasy, and might actually go out and do that. And if he can't find a willing woman to fulfill his fantasies, he might just choose a tourist, because I guess tourists are less likely to go to the authorities because they don't speak the local language.
yeah. That makes sense. But still, what I want to ask you is that people who say that about those porn stars, like, oh, but they know what they have signed up for. They get paid like a bunch of money for what they're doing. Like it's their choice. Like, what can you say about that? I don't agree with this, but what can
Is
what's
it is it really their choice when that's all they can do for money? Their full name is out there, their face is on the internet, and is it really their choice? Why would somebody want to degrade themselves that low? Seriously. There's plenty of other professions out there that are more fulfilling, like you can do YouTube videos. You can become an engineer, a doctor, a nurse. Why don't they do that? Well, these porn stars are poor to begin with. Most of them come from very poor families, and they weren't given these opportunities to, climb up the ladder in life. The saddest thing about, the West is that what's stopping most people from hitting rock bottom and living on the streets is their family. What about those who don't have family to support them? They're on their own, and they have to do whatever they can to survive.
well, yeah, it also makes sense, but still, just people who hit that low, just I do really feel sorry for them, and really, they must be like really desperate to like become a porn star. I understand if the girl is beautiful, she's good looking, and she like signs her up for sells herself for porn industry. Just she could have like just go out in the streets and become a street hooker, but I don't know. What doesn't she like? No, I'm not saying that they should do if a poor and very poor and beautiful girl should like become prostitutes or go to the porn industry. But still, why don't they try to develop like more useful skills without falling that low?
Because when you're living on the street, you don't have any, like,
Education.
opportunity to. You don't have family to support you. In order to get those opportunities to get employment, to get
Education.
education, you kind of need a place to live. To go to a job interview, you need to look good for it. And a lot of women do end up in prostitution. I'd say the vast majority do. Not of what I'm not in the population, but of impoverished women. I read an article the other day. Not the majority, but a considerable amount of millennial women
Mhm.
are selling their bodies to pay their rent to their landlord. It's
Man,
really messed up.
yeah, and that's very bad. That's not good at all. This has to stop.
What I would disagree with the radical feminists, they would say that this is patriarchy. This is proof of patriarchy. We need to get rid of patriarchy. Well, really, it's capitalism. They say capitalism is uh,
Patriarchy.
patriarchal. I was about to say patriotic. I'm like, wait.
No, 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 no.
But uh, it, it you see, men are selling their bodies too. There's the gay porn industry is just as big as the straight porn industry. Gay porn actors have just as much problems as female actors. So can we say that's patriarchal as well? I don't know. It just seems to be more of a capitalistic issue. It's an issue of poverty and of lack of opportunity.
Yeah, yes, it's again hard to disagree with you. And what can you say about okay, we have been talking about women and feminism, so please, how does feminism actually affect men? Because uh, while hanging out with corny people like you and Andrea Benz and those people, I have often like I'm often hearing the term cock or soy boy. I know a cock is derived from cuckold, basically a man who likes to watch his wife getting done by someone, and basically he enjoys watching it. So, but then later the term cock has acquired a very broad meaning. Like basically, it's anyone who is like effeminate and weak and just very like unmanly. Someone who is unmanly is a cock, right?
I feel like feminism really demoralizes men, more particularly liberal feminism, because radical feminists don't really have a voice in modern politics. They are silenced and kind of pushed to the side and demonized. Liberal feminism really does demoralize men. It makes men feel like they're incompetent, like they can't be a father, or else, it's patriarchal. They kind of have to be on the sidelines. And cuckoldry was promoted by the promotion of sexual deviancy. And sexual deviancy is a part of liberal feminism because in liberal feminism, every choice is a feminist choice if made by a woman, even if that choice is detrimental to her body and soul. So cucking your husband, that's good. Good for you. That is how the liberal feminists view it. And you also have the MGTOW phenomenon, which is a direct retaliation against feminism. And I wouldn't say those men are necessarily alphas that join the MGTOW movement. So you have men who retaliate against the liberal feminism, and they become something much worse than the patriarchal demons that these liberals dream up.
All right. So, but you said basically you wrote in your article that you are not exactly a traditionalist woman. So please explain why are you like no longer? Why do you no longer consider yourself a traditionalist woman? And what kind of woman have you become?
Well, you see, I do live a pretty traditional lifestyle. I am married with my husband. I'm not cucking him or anything. I'm not gonna
Despite
go
what
out
some
and
people say.
uh, I, I just feel like society has progressed in such a way that we can't regress. We have to kind of go forward. And I'm not saying that we should, start cucking our husbands or anything. I do promote healthy relationships, but the lifestyle of the 1950s stay-at-home mom was only possible for the middle class and upper class. When I was a traditionalist, I was mainly looking at the lives of the nobility, of the middle class, the upper classes, the rich, as a model to go forward. But, most of my ancestors, even my more recent family, like my grandparents, they did not have the luxury to be a stay-at-home mom. They did not have the luxury to live that kind of lifestyle that I was claiming was traditional. It wasn't the tradition in my family. Nearly all the women that have come before me have worked, either it be on a farm or in a factory. So gender roles have changed a lot through history, from nation to nation. Like if you look at the ancient pagan Celts, their perception of gender roles were completely different than that of the Greeks, the Romans, of the Germanics. In the ancient Germanic tribes, they believed women had spiritual power, so they let women to be on the battlefield as healers. I believe the Celts were allowing their women to go fight as well and run naked in the battlefield to distract men. And then you had the Greeks, who kept their women kind of away from the rest of the men. They didn't let their women do any work. They didn't let them on the battlefield or anything. They were at home or guarded in a room by eunuchs. Eunuchs are men who were castrated. And women, if they went outside, they essentially had white Sharia, okay? They weren't allowed to show too much skin. They had to be accompanied by a male. And so what I have started to question is, what does it really mean for me to be traditionalist? What tradition am I looking back at? Which part of my heritage do I want to, guide myself by? The 1950s is nothing compared to thousands and thousands of years of history. And I believe that, ancient history is a lot more ancient than scholars currently present it as. Because, the pyramids and the erosion around the Sphinx does kind of show that that civilization is older than we thought. So, one thing that also kind of conflicts with me, I like showing skin. I don't want to wear a burqa. I like wearing a dress. I like showing a little bit of cleavage. I like looking sexy. And I mean, I'm not going to run around naked or anything.
No,
I like wearing a bikini at the beach. I don't feel like my body is something to be ashamed of.
of
I am
course it
very
should.
confident in myself. I'm starting to
That's
work
the
out
key.
more and I'm getting more in shape, and I don't see my ancestors looking back at ancient history. They weren't ashamed of their bodies either. The perception of modesty has changed so much as our society has progressed. A lot of traditionalists, myself previously, looked at these pictures of these Renaissance women in their big flowing dresses with covering all their skin. But like, that was only the reality for nobility. What do you think peasant women were wearing? They were wearing just plain ass dresses. They weren't, going all out like that.
Well, yeah, and that's the problem with many traditionalists in many countries, including here in Russia, especially those who like glorify the Tsarist like pre-revolution Russian Empire. They say, but mainly what they talk about is the nobility, is the Russian like imperial nobility who had those luxuries, but like 80% of the country was like peasants who many of them were serfs, and well, not exactly serfs, but they couldn't leave the land on which was owned by the landlord, and they had to work to buy that land for themselves, to get ransom for that land. And basically the majority of the country of the Russian Empire was peasant, and they didn't have the luxuries many Russian Empire lovers are talking about. That's the problem with many traditionalists.
It is. It really is the problem with them. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Is my internet cutting out?
Your camera is sometimes your camera doesn't work.
Skype
Okay,
just I don't
okay,
know.
it's
It's
getting
going.
it will get back. Yeah, it's back
Okay,
now.
it's
Yeah,
back now. That was
yeah,
really
it's back.
weird.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the problem with traditionalists. That the Russian Empire lovers look at the life of a nobility and of the life of nobility and merchants and some privileged workers which are called. Are you there?
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
here. I don't know what the hell's going on.
like some privileged workers which are called the so-called worker aristocracy, like high qualified workers, but that's not the majority. That's not the people who were the majority of the country. The majority of the country was peasants who, many of them who couldn't even like read or write.
Yeah, and Russians weren't. Well, the majority of the population wasn't even literate until the Bolshevik Revolution.
Well, yeah, well, except for my great grandfather, like he was literate, but he basically went to the church school, like 4 years of the church school, and he was like literate, and he was like one of the, if not the most educated man in the entire village where he was living in. Like that's why he rose in the Red Army because he was literate. Well, yeah, but the majority of the Russian Empire population was illiterate, and that's what many traditionalists and Russian Empire lovers refuse to acknowledge and to understand. I'm not saying I'm defending Bolsheviks. I have many criticisms of them, but still, you can't deny history. You can't deny facts.
Nope. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who call themselves traditionalists, if they look at their family history, they will find a lot of poor people.
Yeah,
They will find that those poor people were not stay-at-home moms. The women at least weren't. And I feel like one thing that's really hypocritical about traditionalists is they always
mhm,
focus on women. They're never focusing on the men. They talk about slut culture and hookup culture, but they don't mention the fact that men are also participating in this. Men are in fact leading it along. Men don't want to commit to women. Well, my husband wanted to commit to me, but I found a rare one. You have these men out there who they just want to sleep around too. There's so many women who do want to have kids. They do want to settle down, but their boyfriends are scared. They don't want to grow up. They just want to party. That is quite rarely mentioned by traditionalists. And in fact,
mhm.
I used to mainly focus on women. I was like in the MGTOW in a sense. I thought that, women were wreaking a lot of havoc, turning men the way they are. And it's really sad that I really should have looked more at the bigger picture because both men and women were contributing to the fall of everything. But men really have been quite emasculated. They've been stupefied. Women are just so disconnected from their natural nature. At this point, we will never convince modern men and women, especially the young ones, to go backwards, to regress to this puritanical, vision of the past. We can't force these ideals on them. Traditionalists have been trying to encourage young people to live this lifestyle. It just doesn't seem appealing to most people. You could choose to live your life the way you want to. More power to you. But you're not going to convince Shaniqua down the street to do it. She's just going to do her own thing, and you could do your own thing too. What we really need to do instead of focusing on traditionalism is focusing on inner spirituality, connecting to our natural spiritual roots, this natural force we all have inside us. It's like a part of our soul. We can only do this through art, through our messages, through the way we present ourselves, through the types of media we consume. Um, Even that, I don't think it's enough. Our people have been spiritually wounded in a really fucked up way. That wound needs to be healed, but like, how can we do it? How
Well,
can we even start? It's just mind-boggling. Um, Things are so
yeah.
bad right now.
Well, maybe can we change it with propaganda of traditional way of life? No?
Yeah, you can try to, but how are you going to get that to reach people? What are you gonna walk into a party full of a bunch of drunk millennials holding up a poster showing 1950s mom and her kids saying, be like that, be like that? How are
Well,
you gonna,
no, no. Basically, there is many like ways of propaganda, like, but still, the propaganda is a subject for a separate video, right? Okay, man. Oh, okay, sorry, Veronica. I just another question is, so recently there has been a meme of people of like people like Paul Joseph Watson from the Infowars was calling emasculated, effeminate men who are basically hipsters, but he has been calling him soy boys. Like they also consume like he tried to trace the connection between soy consumption and emasculation of man. And basically, those people like him call those men soy boys because they consume a lot of soy products. Basically, they have swapped the real meat and milk for soy milk and soy products, tofu products. So, what can you say about that? Do you agree with people like Paul Joseph Watson about soy and the reduction of like emasculation of men and reduction the sperm count?
well, most men consume a very low amount of soy, and men are meat eaters, and I've seen even meat eaters that are the biggest cucks in the world. And the funny thing about that event that happened with Paul Joseph Watson is the fact that he was advertising InfoWars. They sell products. They're
Yeah.
snake oil salesmen, and one of these products, Brain Force, had its first ingredient was soy. And he was saying in the commercial, I consume this every day and I feel great. You're the soy boy, Paul Joseph Watson. There,
Yeah.
I mean, there is data to back up that soy does increase your estrogen levels. So you could say that does promote emasculation, but there's only such a small minority of men who consume soy, and there are meat eaters who are also like cucks, so that can't
Yeah.
be the sole reason. And there seems to also be a bit of a effort by these meat corporations to put down soy because they want people to buy and eat meat. They feel very threatened by the new vegetarian craze, and I think a lot of the anti-soy stuff is coming directly from them. But there is data that does show that soy increases your estrogen levels. So soy is produced in factories. It's not the most
Yeah.
healthy thing for you. But eating a lot of meat isn't very healthy either, so just eat veggies. Just how about let's not eat either? Let's just eat veggies. Like vegetables
Well,
are good.
well, yeah.
You can't go
Well,
wrong with vegetables.
yeah. Well, but still, well, I am actually quite a meat eater myself, but still, I feel like I just can't drop meat completely. I like to eat it, and basically, I can't imagine my life without eating meat. But I don't like overabuse it either. There are days, especially in summertime and late summer, early autumn, early fall, when I eat only like vegetables and no meat at all. But still, I just can't drop meat completely. That's the thing with me. What about you?
Um, since I live with Cody's parents, they cook whatever, and I'm not going to be an asshole and say, you better cook what I like, or else. I'm not going to be an asshole to them. I'm going to be polite, so I eat whatever they cook. They don't make meat that often, but at least once or twice a week. And if I live, well, when I live on my own, I'm not going to buy meat like at all. It's expensive. It's bad for you. And there are better things to eat. Like I prefer fruits and veggies. I'll probably be eating salad like every day. It's so expensive meat. I, I would rather put my money towards something better. I've
All
actually
right,
cut down on what I've been eating lately because I just want to save money. Like, food is so expensive.
all right. Okay. For me, cooking is no problem. I can cook myself, no problem. Zero problems actually. Still, meat. Well, I also a bit. I'm also a big like fish lover. I like fish and seafood a lot. As good, as hard as meat, if not even harder. But still, what about you? Do you eat seafood, fish?
Oh, I love salmon. I'm not going to give up salmon, but it's extremely expensive. Like, it's the most expensive thing ever. I only eat it on special occasions. I like at the gas station here, they sell salmon jerky, and it's only $2, and it's great. Cody thinks it's disgusting because it smells like fish. But fish is actually pretty good for you. As long as you get the salmon that doesn't have the pink dye in it, because that has been known to have they've known to, have mercury in it. But like if you get like fresh salmon, like directly from a fisherman, that's pretty good.
What about frozen? So, because I live in a city which is nowhere near any sea, so most of the salmon and most of the fish we get is either frozen or just.
Well, of course it's gonna be frozen. That's alright.
Yeah,
Are you there?
yeah, I'm here.
Oh.
Well, yeah, but basically, I'm a great seafood guy, and sometimes I eat even, there are periods that I eat even more seafood and fish than chicken or meat. But still, well, for me, I just can't like live a year or several months on just veggies and fruits. I need something more than that. Well,
I've
yeah.
always just liked plain food. Like, I didn't like things with too many spices or with too strong of a flavor. So, like, I don't care. I used to eat just plain rice almost every day because I didn't really like flavor that much.
All right, but I like sometimes I like things spicy and even hot.
I always have, like, these awful cuts in my mouth, probably from, like, me biting my cheek when I sleep. So when I eat, like, hot and spicy stuff, it burns, and it's just torture.
Yeah, okay, but what do you think about this like hardline vegans who just who protest at places like McDonald's and just protested people who eat meat? Like, I'm not going to defend McDonald's or like fast food restaurants like that, but still, are those radical vegans, crazy?
My ex was like that. Oh my gosh. It's they're really wasting their time because you're not going to convince anyone to stop eating McDonald's, and like those restaurants will always exist. There's no way you could stop people from eating meat. We could probably like if we end the capitalist production, if we stop having the capitalist system and we stop the producing of meat, perhaps then we can make people cut down on it, maybe make it a lot more expensive so it's like a delicacy that you eat like once or twice a week instead of like every single day for every 3 meal every day. The vegans do bring up a lot of good points because the mass farming of animals is very detrimental to our environment. It's worse than all the cars on the planet combined. You have all these animals in one spot. They're all farting and pooping, and that pollutes the environment way more than your car does, because they're farting and pooping 24 hours a day. You only drive your car for like what, maybe an hour a day, 2 hours if you're commuting, if you live far from your job. But like animals, they are constantly producing pollution, and with millions and millions of animals needed to keep up with the mass consumption of meat, it's really bad for the atmosphere. It's bad for water because the poop contaminates water, and yeah, you can't drink that anymore. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you have also the machines in the factories that prepare the meat. That's also harmful for the environment. So vegans do bring up a lot of good points, but they go overboard. Like you said, they protest McDonald's. Like, what's the point? You're wasting your time.
Yeah.
I get that these people feel like they need to fill the void in their hearts with something to protest against. There are a lot more pressing issues, like the fact that most people can't afford health care.
Yeah.
One thing that is sad is that a lot of people, especially these vegans, value animal life way more than human life. You see this with this dog culture. I don't know, are people in Russia obsessed with dogs like they are here in America?
Dogs?
Yeah.
Not really.
Because people here, they call their dog their fur baby. They say they're a dog mom or dad. They like let their dogs like stand up on their dinner tables while they're eating. They think their dogs are like the best thing in the world, way better than any human. And when their dog ends up biting someone, they blame the person, not the animal. And some people feed their dogs better than they feed their kids. So you have this really sick, like, animal worship in the West's culture that has gotten completely out of line. People are losing track of real issues that affect them as a species when they're focusing so much on little animals. Like, I love animals. I love my cat. I'm a cat lady, I guess you can say. Crazy cat lady. I love my little kitty. She was just asleep and I woke her up. But I'm
Mm.
not gonna, like, say this kitty's better than any human. She's better than most people on Earth just by her actions. She's not harming anybody, but like, I'm not going to lose track of issues that affect people and children. If like she killed a kid, I wouldn't want her to be my pet anymore, you know? But some people, their dogs have killed children and they refuse to euthanize them. The good thing about cats though is they can't kill anybody. Cats like can't do anything like that bad other than scratch the shit out of your furniture.
Well, yeah, yeah. I'm also like a cat guy. I love cats more than dogs, but still, the dog culture is really fucked up, and I haven't met any person who are that overprotective uh, about dogs, and you know, there has been like a movement here in Russia which basically people who kill stray dogs, who poison them, they call themselves on English manner dog hunters, and they basically just go on the hunt over in night time, and they basically, some of them shoot and some of them poison stray dogs, which I also disagree with, and I think it's fucked up, and dog hunters should be like stopped. But still,
Well, I know Eastern Europe has a really bad problem with stray dogs. There are children who get mauled by these dogs just walking to school. There is better ways to handle the stray dog crisis
yeah,
than, just genociding them.
yeah,
Because I know most of the stray dogs just kind of mind their own business, but when they get into packs, dogs have this pack mentality where if they see something they think is prey, they're going to kill it. And they do that a lot to people. Luckily
yeah.
here in the US, we don't have a stray dog like problem because people will pick up stray dogs off the street when they find them and bring them home.
Oh yeah,
What
but
this one
basic,
time I was walking back from school,
yeah,
and
go
this like
on.
this little chihuahua creature just was following me. So I picked him up, and he clearly had some like problem with his face. I don't know. He didn't have rabies, but he had some illness. I was like to my mom, I want to keep him. He's so cute. And my mom's like, get that thing out of here. He's gonna make our cat sick. You want your cat to die? And my mom kicked the dog out, and some other person picked him up.
Yeah, well, basically, most people I know have cats, and many people have dogs, but they certainly don't put them like, don't say they were better than most humans. To all of the dog owners I personally know, dog is just the best friend, but definitely not better than any
You know,
human. Or
I just remembered something. One
yeah,
of my neighbors, when I was younger, was feeding her dog with a spoon.
wow, I have never seen anything like that.
Like, I remember when I had a dog, like, I would give her peanut butter on a spoon, but I wouldn't, like, feed her dog food, like, here you go, eat up like a baby.
Wow, wow, basically.
I grew
mm,
up with two dogs. Like, I don't hate dogs. I don't think I'll get one in the future. They're very high maintenance. They get sick a lot. They
yeah.
bark so much. They're just a lot to handle. I live with three dogs currently, and I'm glad they're not my full responsibility because they're very needy. They need constant attention.
Yeah,
They cannot be left alone for longer than an hour.
yeah,
They need, like, when nobody's home, they cry. When people knock on the door, they freak out. They're a
yeah,
lot to handle, and I think I would just get a bunch of cats because at least cats, you can leave them alone for a day if you feed them, and they'll be fine.
yeah, yeah. For the same reason, I like cats more than dogs, but still, many feminists are called like crazy cat ladies because they have a bunch of cats, but they are lonely and they basically don't have children. So do you think they like pet many? They have many cats because they some sort of compensate the absence of a child for those women.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're filling a void in their heart.
Yeah, filling the
And
void. Yeah,
I'm kind of doing the same thing with my cat because I don't have any kids at the moment. I plan on having them in the future. But like I found my cat like a week before I found out I was miscarrying.
yeah,
So I guess I do kind of relate to these feminists that are crazy cat ladies filling the void in their hearts with their kitties because, I found my cat a week before finding out I was miscarrying. And she does fill that void in my heart that would have been replaced by a child. I do plan on having kids in the future, just not right at this moment. I do worry a bit about my fertility. I do show the signs of not having enough estrogen, which is kind of
maybe you should eat
weird.
more soy.
Yeah, maybe I need some more tofu because I do show the signs of having a hormone imbalance and having like not enough estrogen, and having too much progesterone. And that can cause miscarriages, and I do think that and stress was the cause of the miscarriage. So I just want to know I just want to know I'm healthy before trying again. But in the meantime, I'm going to have a bunch of cats. I'll be a crazy cat lady, and you can make fun of me for it,
No, I will
whatever.
not. I will not.
I'm talking to the viewers, whatever. I'll be a crazy cat lady in the meantime.
Yeah. All right. So basically, well, Sinead McCarthy made fun of your miscarriage, but she has disappeared off the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She actually, I did catch her sending me some nasty tweets. Was it like a month ago? It was around a month ago. She was sending me some nasty tweets. I was in this Twitter argument with this English girl. Forget what we were arguing about. I think it was something about England. I don't know. But she pops her head in there calling me a whore, saying her classic lines, and I'm like, okay, Sinead. okay, Sinead, and she was under the account called Vegan News, and she was posting pictures of like alt-righters eating meat, and I was calling her out on it. She wasn't denying that she was Sinead, and the next day that account was deleted because she got a lot of like backlash. So that was kind of funny, but
So
she
this,
she blamed me for the miscarriage. She said it was because I got an ultrasound. Like, bitch, please. I actually miscarried way before getting that ultrasound. My body wasn't like processing the miscarriage. It still believed I was pregnant even though I miscarried. So what's your answer then, huh? She
yeah,
clearly doesn't know shit about female biology. I don't think she even knows what hormone imbalances are.
well, yeah, you know, and then she made a video when she said that, or it was a radio podcast, and she said that I'm so frustrated. No, nobody dislikes Russia as much as I do. Oh, this pro-Russian sentiment in the alt-right.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
My
um,
internet froze again.
so we were talking about Sinead McCarthy and her. Basically, she has disappeared mostly from the internet, and she is certainly displeased with the amount of Russophiles in the alt-right movement, basically. And I believe in one video when she said that when she was criticizing Nina Byzantina, and she basically said that, oh, most of you Russians are fucking Jews. she did, she said not all of you, but most of you are Jews. Like most, like 100 million people are Jews. Basically, she's calling anyone she disagrees with a Jew.
She does. That is that is absurd. And I'm really glad that her section of, like, I don't know what to call her ideology. I want to say, like, nationalism, but she doesn't believe Russians are white, so that's not white nationalism. I don't know what to call her, but I'm glad that her like, little section of ideology has really died down, that Renegade doesn't have that much of an influence as they used to, because they've just been promoting pure insanity, and it is very detrimental to whatever revolution that they want to occur.
Detrimental to not just the revolution, the very movement they represent.
They
Some
don't even
people,
represent any movement since they attack everybody that they claim to, represent their ideology. So,
yeah, yeah, but anyway, uh, basically, I find, well, many, like, Sinead's posts against men, and basically, uh, she is like a feminist, but only with like Nazi shade, with Nazi colors. What can you say about people, about such phenomenon?
it's very interesting because, like, you think that both ideologies are completely contradictory, but
Yeah,
somehow they find harmony when you have somebody who picks and chooses from both ideologies. And I wouldn't say it's wrong to be an advocate for women and also be an advocate for your race, but I think Sinead takes it to an extreme level. There are serious women issues that neither radical nor liberal feminists are talking about,
yeah,
such as the right for women to defend themselves. The rape crisis in Europe is, well, there are radical feminists bringing it up, but they're getting silenced and called racist. The rape crisis in Europe, and those are women's issues. It's, and a lot of people in the far right want to regress to what they believe is some form of white Sharia. They don't see how that is not possible, because you're not going to get women to just submit to you. You're not going to make men rise up and become more patriarchal. It's just not going to happen. It would take a miracle, maybe decades or centuries to, make the right propaganda to put people in that mindset.
well, yeah. Okay, so we have been recording for quite a long time. So I think it's a good idea to wrap this up now. So any final word?
Um, I don't know. I think I've said everything that needs to be said on those topics. I'm sorry my internet cut out like twice. And yeah, I I don't like feminism as a whole. I think it's detrimental and to the anti-capitalist group of people because they're viewing things in a more that it's patriarchy, not capitalism. And I'm mainly talking about liberal feminism because I know radical feminists do take capitalism into consideration.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll continue to criticize feminists and capitalism.
God damn it. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm still here. So you will continue to criticize capitalism and feminists. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, alright. So yeah, I think this is the end of the video. That's it. Bye everyone. It was a pleasure talking to you, Veronica. We will see you. I'll see you next time for sure, but not now. Okay, so maybe in a couple of months. But for now, cheers and bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
I actually gotta go right now too, so
Yeah. Bye.
see ya.